22 seconds early. We are live. Chris with Journals, Comics, and Pop Culture. It's a Thursday night. I have a horrible face-crushing migraine, but we're still here, and we're still going to talk about this. We're still going to have a live show. I push it through it, y'all. Thank you to everyone that's here, man. We got a crowd. We got some stuff to get into. Obviously, I'm going to say there's a couple things that we're going to do to introduce the show tonight. Of course, I want to say hello to some folks. Nick, Genome. I hope he's probably got one eye open there over in the UK. Ghost Junk, catching on the replay. Appreciate you. PQ. Eli, Simply Good. Spider Do. Brandon. X11. Phil, that Mountain Air. Johnny. Bloop's hanging out. What's up, Bloop? Guys, if you're not subscribed to Bloop's YouTube channel, go check him out, man. Give him a sub and support. Tony T's in the house. Phil's hanging out. Nick. All right, guys. Man, look. Few things. It's Thursday. I thought I'd come on and do a show because there's stuff to talk about. And I'm not going to have a Friday Night Live tomorrow because I will be having my Spider-Man Massive Sale Part 2 on Whatnot. I showed off some books. My last show, but it's going to be all Spider-Man stuff, guys. So if you're not following me on Whatnot, please do so. Second appearance of Hobgoblin, some Dazzler number ones with Spidey. But the link is below if you guys aren't signed up to Whatnot yet. If you use that link to sign up, you get 10% off $10 off of your first purchase. And that is from any seller. It doesn't have to be for me. So again, I'll be going live tomorrow, 6:30 Pacific, 9:30 Eastern, with my part 2 of my massive Spider-Man sale. All Spider-Man goodness, Spider-Man related goodness. And where's my slab that I'm giving away? So anybody that makes a purchase, each purchase will be one entry into winning this beautiful CGC 9.8 Amazing Spider-Man 55 Gleason variant, the second print, red cover. So like if you make 3 purchases, that's 3 ticket entries into the randomizer to have a chance to win that book. Caleb just won a contest recently. I think it was a 360s contest, was it? I think. Peter, what's going on, Peter? Raising L, what's going on, man? So let's see what else we got. We got Comic Book Canon this coming Sunday, of course, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern. Comic Book Canon link in the description below as well. Check us out. We have our weekly show every Sunday night. Hoping that's going to be a good show. We're still trying to secure a special guest, but regardless, we're going to have a good show. All right, so CBCS. Again, all this stuff that's been going on over the last few weeks, everyone's talking about it. I'm not mad at that, but I'm not going to come here and just repeat what everyone else is saying. We all want everyone else's different perspectives. I'm here to give mine, and I'm also here to listen to your guys's. But while we take a couple more minutes to let a few more people come in, I want to tell you guys a really quick story, and it does relate. I'm just not blabbing about some random stuff. I've had contractors in my home for the last 5 years. We just recently the 5-year anniversary was last week. Oh man, Raising Elm, thank you so much. We know what's up. Thank you, man. So long story short, we had some old galvanized piping in the middle of the drywall between our bathrooms, and we have really hard water where I live, and it was just staining the toilets. That needed to go. Little 4-inch galvanized pipe piece needed to go. The plumber that we got didn't even remove it, even though it was on the invoice. Replaced the toilets, caulked all around the base of the toilets, and didn't set the toilets on the O-ring right. So 8 months later, we found rot and black mold. We were in a hotel for over 3 months. Came back to a home. The rot went into the kitchen. And then during all this, we hired another contractor to come have to redo our bathrooms, redo our kitchen. And long story short, we could have sued. We could have sued. It was that bad. But at that point in time, we settled. We wanted to get back in the home. And They redid everything, and they did a crap job because guess what? Over a year later, we found leakage and mold again, and here we are getting a new contractor to come in and having to pursue legal action and damages against this contractor. So we get the new people to come in to fix it again. And this is last year. We're in a hotel again for a month and a half. And we're still here dealing with this. These guys put in a shower that was fake stone, like not even man-made stone, like fake. It was like painted on. It started peeling. Oh my gosh, they had to redo the shower again. And then yesterday, when they were in there redoing the shower, they broke our brand new vanity. So I told them today, I filed a claim with the contractor's license board, and they're going to mediate. If you guys don't know how that works, they mediate. And if we don't come to terms, because they're damages plus like stress and duress damages, I will take them to court. So what's my point I'm making here, and how does this have anything to do with what we're talking about today? Oh, man. Matt Ladno's in the house. Matt Woods, what's going on, guys? Matthew Martin, thank you. Thank you, Matthew. I really appreciate the support. Collected Chaos, what's going on? Always good to see you. Shadow Rat. So, guys, and I'm not making any of this up, and I gave you guys the consolidated version. Like this could literally be a horror novel. We've gone through 1, 2, 3 different contractors with the same result. Shoddy work. People that can't keep on schedule. People that can't do things right the first time. People that lie and give you every excuse in the book. And these are licensed contractors. When we, guys, utilize YouTube, because that's how I built this room with my dad. And like you can actually learn a lot doing it yourself these days. And there's a lot of stuff out there to help you learn how to do things yourselves. But in this world, when it comes to, like home issues that you need contractors, car issues with mechanics, the average person isn't very knowledgeable of how to handle these things. So you go and you find a licensed contractor or a licensed mechanic, and you are supposed to trust their word. But guess what, folks? That trust doesn't exist in this world anymore. It does not exist anymore. And it's not like you're going finding some random person off the street. These are legitimate licensed businesses that have been in business for years and whatever. I don't trust nobody. And the point I'm trying to make and how this relates to the topic of discussion tonight is we're at a pinnacle when it comes to comic book grading companies. And as long as I've been here on YouTube, there's always been the conversation. Is CGC too big to fall? Is CBCS, is this and that? And I always say, look, I don't think they're going anywhere, but at the end of the day, even Rome fell, right? But the bigger issue that we're going to talk about tonight is that this lies in the depth, in the roots of lack of accountability, code of ethics, and proper business culture. It doesn't exist anymore, no matter what industry we're talking about. And this is becoming more and more apparent in the comic book grading industry. Brew, what's going on, Brew? Simon. Brandon Metro, what's going on? Circumstances is here. So, let's talk about this, guys. I'm not going to sit here and rehash everything. I'm going to give you a consolidated version of this as well, because everyone's already talking about it. Yes, CBCS seemingly lost 367 books. I'm not going to bring up all the screenshots and everything that everyone's been already sharing, but it's, Clan, McDonald Comics, a big dealer. The owner, Steve McDonald, issued a public statement basically giving details. Now, of course, we only have his side of the story, but there is a lot of facts there because he provided screenshots of the communication and of the orders, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm going to, it's pretty legit. I mean, the cards are on the table. And CBCS lost multiple submissions over the last, over a year. 367 books. And this individual, Steve McDonald, did say, look, I've really had no real problems with CBCS in the past. I've been using them for a very long time. And this has been going on since Steve Borak left. That was his point of view. That was his take. And ever since, it's just been falling apart. So we are going to address the issue of what this means for CBCS and CGC and the grading industry in general. When you talk about, I will say EGS. You could throw in PGX there, but we'll talk about PGX a little bit. But what does this mean? And it's not necessarily like, look, CBCS is done. Like, rest in peace, CBCS. Some of you may agree with that. Some of you may not agree with that. Maybe it's not that black and white. Maybe this hurts them a lot, but they're going to push through and come out of this. Regardless of where you sit on those beliefs, I do believe this is another situation that's going to change the grading industry moving forward. What amazes me is that CBCS is in the process of moving, so I'm sure they will find them once all that is done. Okay, well, we're going to talk about some of the details collecting chaos. I don't personally, that's not an excuse, but it is context. We all know for the most part that it's been a hold my beer. I like Two Brothers had a little. I know was it Two Brothers or what is it? Modern and Bronze Age gods or whatever that did the hold my beer. And I know I had my good friend of the channel, Michael, way back when this started happening earlier in this year when CGC was doing this and the CBCS was doing that. It was like, hold my beer. The hold my beer is going back and forth here with these guys. It's absolutely nuts. So there's been a lot with CGC and CBCS in terms of negative public perception. And this is the latest one. Now, when it comes to CGC, we know what their latest one is. I just talked about it. Everyone's talking about that. That's the issue behind the acetate cover. Them, having their nose in the air saying this is a blue label. We stand by it. Finally, Marvel makes a statement and they finally humble themselves and say, okay, green label, but we're going to make money. We're going to, Clayton, come out here. We got it, quality control. We got to put the stop to the fire. Let's make some money in the middle of it. Come sign some of these books. So we know what's been going on with CGC. Now, I'm not going to, I already been talking about this. I think CGC is realizing that, guys, nobody is too big to fail. Nobody is too big to fail. And I think they're realizing that. And I think they're finally starting to tread water lightly, or not lightly, but, more, with more urgency, because they realize that, look, public perception does matter, even if you're the king sitting on top of the throne. But I do feel that because of who CGC is, they're still going to sit on top. Over the last year plus, CBCS has had a lot of opportunity to build momentum, but they're the little brother, right? Or they're the little dude. They're the little scrappy dude that's trying to eat off the plate, when they're hungry and they're like, they're like the Captain America before the soldier serum, right? The super soldier serum. Get knocked down, get back up. I could do this all day, and they keep fighting, they keep pushing. CGC comes out and hits them with the blow, but they come back out and they're calling CGC out. I love what they've been doing on social media. the transparency about the labels when CGC said, we're not going to put this stuff on the labels. Who cares? We're just going to, supply it to anybody who buys a membership with us. CBCS comes out and says, we are a company that stand behind being transparent and doing this, this, and this. So there they are. They're taking the blows, but they're getting back up. They're saying we can do this all day. We ain't giving up. But what that means is anytime they do something that's perceived as negative in the public eye, it's going to knock them down even harder than it knocks down CGC. And that is what concerns me here with what happened with this situation with the 367 books being lost. And again, to Collecting Chaos's point, they're moving. Maybe they are somewhere. Maybe they'll come up. But to me, that's besides the point for two reasons. One, public perception at this point doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if those books show up. The damage is done, believe it or not. I mean, of course, it's going to be an even harder blow or a deeper hole if they never show up. But the hole's already dug. The meteor's already hit. And though it doesn't matter because, and we'll talk about this, the actual factors of what makes this so bad. Best Core, what's going on? Yeah, I hear you. The Righteous Flipper. Love the handle. Don't both these guys commit questionable business practices? I mean, as a consumer, we are in a bad place. CBCS has issues and CGC has scandals. I think understand they still both have market share. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. That's the metaphor I was just saying. Steve Rogers was a righteous soul, right? But he was the little dude. It doesn't matter how much he got back up and said we could do this all day. It didn't matter. CGC's the bully. That's a metaphor, of course. CGC's the bully. CBCS is the little guy. CBCS had opportunity to take the super soldier serum with all these negative blows to CGC, but they just knocked themselves out of that race. So that's what I'm saying. It doesn't matter what you personally think of CGC versus CBCS. General public perception, when there's a blow to CGC, they have more weight to hold their ground. When there's a blow to CBCS, it's going to knock them back harder. That's just a fact of the matter. And it's just like, remember the blow that hit PGX? That killed him. PGX is dead. PGX is dead. I don't care what anybody says. They may have a few people sending them books. That's like people visiting their grave, leaving flowers on their headstone. That's what that is. PGX is dead because they did something that they couldn't come back from. Not only were they the little guy, but they were the ant. If CBCS did something like PGX did, it would have been a softer blow, but still worse than if CGC did that. And that's the point I'm trying to make. If EGS, who I believe, we'll talk about them a little bit tonight too, they got a lot of opportunity right now. If EGS lost even 50 books right now, do you think EGS would rebound from that? And EGS, they've been around for a few years. They just got their proprietary cases. And as soon as they got their cases, buzz starts building up. They lost 50 books. Do you think that EGS would ever recover from that? I'm going to tell you. I say no. I say no. I don't think they would. They would be done for. And the few people that would send them books after that are just the visitors throwing flowers on top of their headstone, visiting their grave. Now, of course, everything in perspective. CBCS handles way more books than EGS and PGX, and that's why CGC gets so much leeway because they handle more books than CBCS. And, that's why, as much as I can never fathom, it blows my mind. There should be no reason that any grading company, especially CGC or CBCS, should ever have the wrong book, an upside down book, or the wrong label on a book. If they're doing what they say they're doing, those things should never happen. A misspelling or miss something on the label, like maybe okay, or like a damaged case that cracks open once in a while, whatever. Like those things are bound to happen. But like upside down, like who does this? Who passes this off? It makes no sense, right? So let's talk about the blow and why this is so damaging to CBCS. Regulating. That's something to talk about. Losing books is the worst, especially how they did it. Everyone always says a little prayer when they ship out books because we never know what will happen in transit. Absolutely. I do it. I do that. Seems like both these guys have their own monopoly. Well, I'm going to correct you there, Righteous Flipper. It's not a monopoly. It's more of a oligopoly. An oligopoly is when there are more than one entities that control the market, but the barrier to entry to enter the market is like so you can't enter it. That's why I give EGS so much props, because the barrier to entry in this market is absolutely nuts. A monopoly is where you live, like where I live, PG&E. PG&E has to supply me my power. There's no one else. Cal Water has to supply me my water. There's nobody else. Utilities have monopolies because I don't have an option. They can raise my prices up as much as they want, and they do. They keep raising them and raising them and raising them, raising our rates, and there's nothing we can do about it unless we want to live in a house with no power, unless we want to live in a house with no water. That's a monopoly. The grading industry is not a monopoly. It's more of an oligopoly where barrier to entry is really, really tough. So let's talk about CBCS and what this means for them moving forward. And I forget who it was, but it was like, it's not just about losing books, it's about how they lost them. Fat Dad, what's going on? Adam, what's going on? So remember, guys, we are just taking the word from one business owner with a impeccable record and resume, I will say that, and that presented a lot of facts and proof to the table. So the problem that concerns me the most is that it seems, and again, because we're only taking this from one person, it wasn't the fact that they're moving. Oh, we're moving, so we had to put a bunch of our inventory, the stuff that was on the shelves waiting to be graded, unopened orders, whatever. We had to pack them up, and they could be like in transit. They could be sitting in the new warehouse, and we're not even there yet. So, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, that's one thing. But the problem is that this isn't the main problem. One problem is the excuses and the time frame. And this goes back to my example with the contractors. It's the same thing is why I'm sitting here a year later and I don't even have a bathroom that's done right. They've redone, like when you caulk a toilet, you have to leave an inch or two of a gap where there's no caulking. That way, if there's any type of leakage, you see it. It's visible. If you caulk all the way around the toilet base, if there's leakage, it goes into the subfloor, and that's what causes rot. I told them twice, guys, you caulked all the way around. You need to redo it. Okay, they went and redid it. What did they do? They caulked all the way around. I had to tell them again. What did they do? They caulked all the way around. And then the third time, They even got like caulking smeared all along like the side of the I'm like, dude, give me a caulking gun and let me do it myself. So I felt that CBCS's replies when it came to them dealing with this, oh, well, we're just behind here. We're going to get to them in a week, or we're moving in 2 weeks and then we'll have it for you. Oh, but 6 months passes and well, we're still not moved yet, or my dog ate my homework or something like that. That's the problem. So it boils down to not only quality control of getting, being able to have an organized business being ran. Customer service is horrible because you're not getting straight answers. Tom, what's going on, Tom? Todd McFarlane. Hey, Todd, if you front me, like $50K to get started, I'm with you, Todd, man. I'll do it. I'll get it off the ground running. Actually, you know what I'll do? I'll partner with EGS. But I appreciate you, Todd, man. The modern day Jack Kirby all the way, baby. So what I was saying was there's the issue of the customer service not getting straight answers, the cry wolf, the excuses, and then the prolonging of the issues not getting resolved, digging themselves a deeper hole. And when you are in customer service, or when you have a customer and you don't resolve it with complete transparency, that's bad business. But this is what takes the cake, everyone. What takes the cake is when CBCS, again, according to Stephen McDonald's testimony, according to his statement, CBCS admitted to sending people's books across the country. These books were already submitted to CBCS's warehouse. And CBCS decided to ship these packages to some random employee halfway across the country so he can open up the packages, check through the books, and get them submitted in their system from home. Only to then send them back to the facility. But what facility, we don't know. Wow. Honestly, that's worse than somebody being told to redo caulking of the base of a toilet and to leave a 2-inch gap and not doing it 2 different times. That is worse, in my opinion. It makes no logical sense. And what makes even less sense is this. This isn't PGX. This is CBCS. This is Beckett. This is a multi-million-dollar entity that has been around for decades. Who allowed this to happen? It makes no sense. They could have saved more money. They could have saved more money to fly this in, whoever this individual was. I don't even know if they're qualified, or maybe they hired some guy remotely. Maybe they did an interview remotely and were like, okay, you're hired. We're going to send some books to you. They could have saved money. Oh, Chris Olson, thank you so much. Get Todd in a live chat. Hey, man, my door's always open. Always. Lee's in the house. What's going on, Lee? Verified. What's up, Verified? I guarantee you we could crunch the numbers. We could crunch the numbers and see, it would have been more cost effective for CBCS to fly somebody out. Say they put an ad out, say they were, had a job opening. They listed it on LinkedIn and Indeed and all that. And they could fly somebody out. Where are they at? Where are they at? Texas? I forget. Fly somebody out, do an interview with them. Hire them, fly them back out. Even pay for them to get situated. And to pay them to work in-house to do exactly what they were trying to get done. We need extra people submitting the orders into the system. It would have been more cost effective and it would have saved them more money, I guarantee you, to have somebody come and work in-house and eat those expenses and those costs than to send these books out as they came in to some random person, some random state, for then to have them send them back to them. Then they would have to check them in again. I mean, once they're in again, well, I don't know what system that they had, but the box would have had to have been open. There had to be some type of number that they needed to either scan or verify and double check it to the system. I don't know, guys. I mean, Angel, right? I mean, hey, if we all pitch in, we can make things happen. The power of the collective consumers. Man, in the 70s, yeah, for Beckett, absolutely. It would have saved their credibility as well. Sinfully Good, absolutely. Which is priceless. Exactly. Yep. It makes no sense. So again, and I want to go back to Collective Chaos's point because it's a very valid point. We can't overlook the fact that they're making a big change with moving. And I can understand that setting back, turnaround times and things like that. But to completely lose books, where you cannot verify of their whereabouts, that is a problem. And then to know what they did with shipping all these books out to some random person in their home. Oh my goodness, it's just so bad. And that, guys, that right there, in my humble opinion, is what's going to hurt CBCS. Now, let me answer this question. Do I think that CBCS is done? No, I don't. Beckett is still Beckett, and we know what they do with everything else they do with the sports cards, et cetera, et cetera. CBCS is not done, but I honest to God believe that any type of leeway that they gained over the last couple of years with everything the CGC has been doing, all the hiccups that they've been having, I've been seeing more and more people say I'm submitting to CGC, and not just say it, but be about it. I've been seeing more people be about it because we see what they're selling. We see what they're picking up. I've even seen prices, the price gap between CGC and CBCS. I've even seen that narrow in a lot of situations because I watch the market almost every day of my life. I think this right here, no matter the outcome, that little, oomph that they got is gone. It's completely gone, in my humble opinion. And folks, I want to let it be absolutely 100% known. I'm not a CGC fanboy. I'm not up on CGC for no reason. I'm not a yes man in any situation. I just came and gave my honest opinion about everything CGC's been doing that I consider an issue over the last year or so, whatever. I was rooting for CBCS to close the gap. And they have to go and do this. And I've always said this, though, about both of these companies. I've never sent to CBCS, okay? I meant to this year. I don't think that's going to happen. Because, like, who was it that said we all, like, pray before we send our books out? I'm having anxiety just thinking about it. Hell no, I ain't sending no books to CBCS. Nope. And I was going to send my Silver Age Spidey books to CBCS. Hell no. I'm traumatized. I'm traumatized. Yeah. CGC pisses me off because, you know, they're inconsistent sometimes with their grading. They put books in backwards and cases cracked, but at least my baby's still there, right? For the most part. Although there was somebody that recently got the wrong book back. Okay, but between the two companies, CGC, I'm going to tell you guys, I have never had an issue with CGC's customer service. Never. Honest to God truth. Every time I called in, they've been polite. They've taken the time to talk to me and to answer my questions. They recently, when I called in, remember when they were doing the first price changes? They gave me like wrong information on the phone because I called to verify all the details. And I submitted my books and they charged me more. And I called them back. I was like, yo, like, this isn't what you guys told me. They gave me all the difference in prices from what they didn't need to, but they did. They credited me. Not credit. They didn't even give me store credit. They refunded me cash. I've never had an issue with CGC's customer service, and I got to give them that credit. CBCS, I've never used them. But the few times that I tried to call them, it was horrible. I remember there's twice where I never got a real person. And then 2 other times, and again, guys, I say this respectfully, like, please don't come at me as if I'm being ignorant or prejudiced, because that is not me, and you need to know that. They outsource. CBCS outsources, and sometimes you'll get, or every time I've gotten a person, it's been an outsourced person from another country. All right. English is their second language. And while they don't, they speak good English, it's not like a barrier where I can't understand their English. It's fine. And they're always, they're usually at least polite. Although I do believe, don't quote me on this, but I think one person hung up on me one time. That's actually happened with AT&T quite often, where people hang up on me. No lie. But it's not the English speak, but it's a language barrier. Because, and I'm not mad at them for this. I'm not mad at these individuals for this. I'm mad that CBCS wants to outsource to pay slave wages instead of, paying more qualified people to do these jobs. And again, I'm not knocking these people for not being qualified. It's what they have, and it's what they can take, and they need to earn a living for their families, etc. But there is a disconnect, because a lot of these people, any big company that outsources to the South Pacific or the Philippines or, China or wherever it is, it's a communication barrier. They can't communicate to the same depth in English as we do. And they're reading prompts on screens. Like, everything is a prompt. If you notice that, everything is a prompt for the most part. And you know what else they have, which is unfair to them? They got supervisors. They're in a big call center, and they got supervisors walking around. They probably got on their suit and tie that they got from the thrift shop, and they walk around with their coffee mug, and they're so into their job, and they're listening in on everyone's calls, and they put you on hold, and they say, read this prompt. Okay. Hi there. I spoke to my supervisor, and and they read the prompt. It's It's not a good way when you're dealing with issues, when you're dealing with like quality control when it comes to consumer and customer issues. It's never good to have somebody that can't actually have an in-depth conversation with you because there's a language barrier. And I say that respectfully and humbly, and I'm not saying, oh, like screw them, those foreigners, I'm not being like that. I'm glad that these people are working. What we really need to do, these big companies that want to outsource, we need to spend more money and we need to go set up actual like job training classes for these individuals. We need to teach them how to be good, really good at their jobs and to be, maybe offer them online schooling like they do here in the States with some of these jobs like McDonald's is doing now. Let them take some communication classes and build them up so they can actually do really good at their jobs. But it's big business taking shortcuts. Sweatpants aisle. Yeah, no. I'm not. And I don't know Magneto. It's not about teaching them to be American. I don't know if you're just being funny or anything like that. This, like I said, I'm not. This isn't a prejudice statement or having anything to do with anything like that. I feel for these people. The big U.S. corporations and entities take advantages of other countries' economic issues. And they go and they set up these call centers in these foreign countries and they take advantage of them. It's not their fault. I'm not mad at them. Right. Okay. Yeah. Thank you for clarifying that, Magneto. Thank you. So, when you already have a company that has customer service issues and then something like this happens, it's going to be very hard for them to come back from this. And I honest to God believe that this cuts off their limbs from them having a step forward on CGC. And that was the point of that last piece when I started talking about the customer service issue. CGC is now back in full effect, even with all the issues CGC's got going on. I'm telling you, it's the hold my beer scenario, back and forth. And hey, PQ, that's absolutely true too. Yep. They only need to have answers. They don't need to know about comics, but they need to have answers to solve the problems. Absolutely. Very, very straight to the point. People can forgive a lot if you have really good customer service, and people will remember a lot if you have terrible customer service. Absolutely. You can offer, okay, here's another example to that point, Simply. Thank you so much for adding that. There could be a company that offers an extremely amazing product or service. But if their customer service is crap, me personally, I'm not dealing with them. I will go and sacrifice quality of service or product to an extent, if I know I'm getting better customer service. I would rather tip a waiter or waitress at a crappy restaurant where the food was junk, but their customer service was amazing. I'm going to give them a huge tip next to a crappy waiter or waitress at a Red Lobster, some fancy restaurant where the service was bad. Now, don't get me wrong. I never bad tip. And I'm not like, I don't eat out too much like that. But even if somebody gives me bad service at a restaurant, I still give them a 20% tip because I believe in karma and killing it with kindness. Like you want to be a bad server, and then you're gonna think you're gonna get a bad tip out of me, and then you're gonna have a reason to play victim. Nope. And here's a little lesson for everyone too. And I know it's cliche, but you never know when somebody's just having a bad day, right? Maybe they just had a bad day. But to the point again, simply, yeah, you can't keep a business cannot build their foundation on bad customer service. You just can't. Michael, thank you. Journal, love that hat you're wearing. The right team. Well, appreciate it, Michael. Thank you so much for the super chat. But yeah, man, Braves, you got to give it credit to them. I'm a Giants fan, and they gave my Giants a run in the 90s, man. It was crazy. It was madness, but I'm a baseball fan as well, and I just like to, switch up the fits. I wanted to send some signed books to CBCS since they offer a verified signature service. Now I'll pass and keep them raw. Anyways, guys, so let's get back on track here. Love to keep hearing your guys' opinions and thoughts on this. We're circling back to the fact that I really believe, again, this does not end CBCS. But I think this is one of the worst blows that CBCS is going to take, especially with the height of all the controversy. You guys got to remember this too right now. This whole acetate C2E2 thing, everybody in this community, content creators, influencers, collectors, everybody and their mother and brother are looking for what's happening next. What's happening next? Accountability or pitchforks or whatever it is. This was horrible, horrible timing. If this actually would have happened like 6 months ago or even 3 months ago, maybe it wouldn't have had such a huge impact because I don't think it would have been covered. Now, remember, a big shout out to Tony for bringing this up to me. CGC was up in their prices doing some crazy stuff that people were unhappy about. Everybody was talking about it. It was in all the forums, all the Facebook groups, all the YouTubers, including myself. CBCS increases their prices twice, and nobody talks about it. I did, though. And their second price increase was ridiculous. I still have my own thoughts about that. That was another thing that I think hurt CBCS in the midst of their trying to close that gap, right? Absolutely crazy. Nobody talked about it. So maybe if this happened a few months back, not as many people would have shed the light on it. But not now. We're in the age of drama right now. We're in the thick of it with everything. Take the wallpaper down and throw up some acetate. Throw a grade on it too. Throw a 9.9 on it. Nobody's perfect. Mistakes happen. It seems like it's always a bias. Machiavelli, if you great name, by the way, Machiavelli. I don't think it's that necessarily, but if you missed what I was saying earlier in the show, there is a bias towards CGC to an extent to where, yeah, CGC can take the blows more than CBCS can. And that's just the fact of it. It sucks. But CBCS is the little guy trying to battle Goliath. I mean, EGS is the little guy. CBCS is like the middle brother, but they're still battling the big brother, CGC. So at the end of the day, yeah, these blows are going to hit each company differently. P-Keel. The E, is this a misspelling? Nobody talks about the CGC. I don't know what that is, but I would love to know about it if I'm not familiar with it. Brandon, thank you so much. Cyclops was right. Todd rules. Thank you, Brandon, for the super chat. Appreciate you. Chad, what's going on, Chad? I don't think I said what's up to you. Mike Cummings. Does PSA in the card market get as much heat? That's a good question, Mike, and I don't know. I mean, Beckett is the look. Perception matters in public perception. Beckett is the little guy compared to CGC, but like I said, they're kind of like the middle brother. EGS, you could throw PGX in there too. They're the little guy. They're the little brothers, right? But EGS creeping on a come up, man. Let's see what this Joe H. At least CGC is trying, and they seem to be listening to their customers. QR codes, faster turnaround makes the raise in prices a bit easier to do it. Joe, I'm not going to disagree. Now, they keep doing more things that are questionable at the same time, but I'm not going to disagree with you there. But you can't say the CBCS isn't trying either, though. You know, you got to give them credit because there's been some transparency with CBCS. But I think it's been more so when their competitor does something that they don't like. How about being transparent without it having to be a clap back at your competitor? How about that, CBCS? Let's handle it there. Let's hear CBCS come out and give us some transparency without CGC having to do something for CBCS to then benefit by clapping back. I love their clapbacks, but let's get some more. Do it on your own terms, right? Michael, thank you, Michael, for becoming a channel member. You will be qualified into winning this awesome Superman number 80 signed by Brett Breeding. Signature right there. Torpedo Comic exclusive. Shout out to Torpedo Comics. We're going to be giving this away at the end of the month, well, first week of September, for all of my YouTube channel members. So thank you, Michael. Yeah, there needs to be CBC at the end of the day. Now here's my let's get to where let's kind of sum this up into my personal opinion about what CBCS needs to do right now. We talked a little bit about what I think this is going to do moving forward, and I'll rehash that right now once again. I don't think this is the end of CBCS, but I think any leeway, any ground that they gained on CGC over the last year or so, I think that's completely gone now. I think it's completely gone. I don't think a lot of people were like, oh, CGC's in trouble because of the acetate gate and giving it blue labels, and where they were just grading the acetate cover and not the book. Like what the, and that's I still want to talk about that more, but and people were like, is CGC going the way of PGX? No. CGC will never go the way of PGX because they're just solidified themselves as a completely different entity for way too long. Now with CBCS going the way of PGX, can't really do that there as well because CBCS is still a completely different entity for a very long time. But there is going to be a closer comparison because they do have less leeway. They are going to hurt from this for a very long time, and they have to be very cautious of what they do moving forward. So, what does CBCS need to do to get the bad taste out of people's mouth and hopefully come out of this? Because, like I said, I am not, I've talked to you guys and my viewers about why I would never use PGX. Now, again, that's just me. I'm just one person. If you guys want to use PGX, that's fine. They're cheaper. They're newer cases. They don't look horrible. I've never held a PGX case, actually, the new ones. Their newer labels look decent. They're much better than some of CGC's old labels. I would never send a book to PGX because, one, while every company has inconsistencies, I don't trust their grading at all. At all. Even though I have a 9.8 CGC book that's nowhere near a 9.8. The majority of the time, When I guess the grade, it's spot on or it's lower or higher by like a half grade point. I don't trust their grading. There's too many 2.0s that I'm seeing graded as 5.0s. There's too many 7.5s graded as 9.0s. It's absolutely crazy. I really think that they overgrade on the majority of their books. Sometimes they won't notate missing pages and all this other stuff, and they'll just have a blue label. It's crazy. And I've said this and I'll say it again. I want everybody to have second chances. But the only way for me to give PGX a chance is if the owner comes on my channel and has a public conversation with me and addresses the scandal that he got caught up in. And I'm not even saying if he does that, that I'll use his company. But that has to happen in order for me to even think about it. Now, where am I at with CBCS? At this point in time, I will never use CBCS. Yep. This sealed the deal for me to never want to send books to CBCS. I am traumatized. Now, I trust it's different than my reasons for not using PGX. Their grading, to my knowledge, is consistent. I like their cases, and sometimes I actually think that their labels are better than CGC's. But I am now traumatized. I would be scared of them losing my books, and therefore, from right now to I don't see it changing. I will never send books to CBCS, and that hurts me because I was rooting for them. I wanted to get away from CGC, and I wanted CBCS to be, the EGS is in this conversation. I'm going to bring them up before we end the show. So you got to hear that point because it matters for what I have to say about EGS. I still care about secondary value. There are books, like I have books sitting at EGS right now that weren't really because of value, but because of what they meant to me, and I got custom labels done. But I was ready to say, look, I don't care if they may sell for a little bit less on the secondary market. I'm sending my Silver Age Spideys to CBCS. I'm giving them a try. I might shift my one submission a year over to CBCS. That's not happening now, and it's not happening for the near future as far as I can tell. CBCS, because of this, for now in the foreseeable future, has lost my business, period. So what do they need to do? What do they need to do to earn my business? And what do they need to do to continue to earn the business of everyone else? Well, there are going to be those people that aren't going to take this situation as seriously, just like so many CGC people. CGC customers will continue to send their books no matter how much they get screwed over by CGC. You got CBCS people that'll do the same thing. But it's all about PR. And remember, I said this about CGC. At the end of the day, they're a business that's in business to save their ass. And that's what they need to do right now. I don't care if they're, I do care if they're genuine in their words, but they need to address this situation. And it's not even the words that matter. It's how they act on it. So, while I believe the sustained CBCS, no matter what, they already dug the hole. How they respond to this and what they do, even if they respond to this or the books show up or whatever, everything they do from here on out is going to be in even closer microscope. And they need to understand that. If they don't understand that, they're going to keep digging the hole deeper. They need to go. If they thought they were making ground on CGC before, boy, they just broke a leg in the race. And they need to now work extra hard to stay on their feet. Do you know how much Red Lobster costs? You take 2 people to Red Lobster, you're spending probably after taxes and tip. yeah, you're probably spending close to $200. So, obviously, it ain't North Beach, San Francisco, or Beverly Hills, but that's a big check. And when you talk about percentages and leaving a tip, that's a big tip. Red Lobster ain't what it used to be. Because although it's always been seafood and seafood is always pricier, it ain't what it used to be. Them fools think they're fancy. All right. I want to talk about fancy enough for 20%. Eating the pork chops. PQ, if they bring Steve back, it would change. Yeah, I agree. And that could change public perception too, but I don't think that's happening. Steve is like probably done. I want to talk about EGS and what this means to the grading market in general. We're going to use EGS as a, not really as a metaphor, but as, I mean, you'll see what I have to say here. But, and again, I'm gonna preface this with transparency. I built a good relationship with Tony in EGS. Tony actually sponsors a segment of ours on Combo Book Cannon. But I am not a yes man, and I will never say anything about EGS that isn't my honest, humble opinion. I think EGS has a lot of things to work through still. I'm honest. If I'm having a conversation with EGS or with Tony privately, I'm honest with them about that, and I'll be honest with my viewers. I still have my honest review up from when I first reviewed an EGS slab. All right? When I get my books back that are there right now in the new proprietary cases, I'm going to do an honest review. Because that's how I do it. I will never sugarcoat anything. And Tony knows this. I told Tony before we partnered on the sponsorship of the Come Up with Canada segment, I'm not sugarcoating anything. So take it or leave it. He knows that. Tony and EGS. I'm not going to include PGX because they already shot themselves in not even in the foot, but in the heart. They killed themselves. EGS was just handed a huge advantage. Now, they weren't just handed everything. Tony and EGS has worked for where they're at right now. Nobody handed EGS their own proprietary cases. They worked for that. They worked for that, and they were due that. And that's where they're at. That's on them. They did that. But CBCS and CGC both are handing them some advantages right now as well. And it's kind of a perfect storm, perfect timing for EGS. Because they're going to have their new cases in just a couple of weeks here, folks. They're going to be in people's hands probably towards the end of September, October, including mine. Wire Anchor, they shot themselves in the foot by the owner doing some really shady business. Really, really shady business. Basically, rigging grades for one, rigging grades of books, and it's so much deeper. I'm sure you can YouTube it, and there's a lot of content out there that discusses it. But back to what I was saying, EGS is a huge opportunity right now from a lot of people that are pissed with CGC and CBCS. You already had a lot of people saying, I'm done with CGC, and they meant it. I mean, you have a lot of people that say, I'm done with CGC, and then they go right back to them. But I told you, I've seen it with my own eyes. A lot of people were sticking to their word. And they said, I'm done with CGC. I'm going to CBCS. Now, a lot of those people, because of this, they're done with CBCS. So they have an option. They could go back to CGC, or they could go to EGS with their new proprietary cases. I honestly look at everything that's happening right now with the grading industry, and I think it's beautiful. It's beautiful chaos. Who do I sound like? Joker or something? You know, like, it's chaos. It's beautiful chaos because for so long, everyone was a zombie. You had CGC surfing, even CBCS, they're surfing right along. We don't care about wait times. We don't care about raising prices. We don't care about quality control. We don't care about any of that. We're going to make money. 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 Dan's here. But now you have so much happening, literally like every other day. And everyone took the blinders off and is talking about it. And whether or not they're being reactionary, whether or not they're having a real conversation, the bottom line is that the fire is there. And they know it. And I really believe that all of these things happening right now, this beautiful chaos, it's going to change the face of the grading industry for the better, for the good. I do. I think that CGC is going to continue to evolve. And even though I wanted CBCS so badly to, like, I don't want to say like surpass them. And what does that even mean? I guess when you're talking about value on the secondary market, I honestly have to say that I think CGC is going to surprise us. I think CGC is going to surprise us, and they're going to lead the way in actually evolving their company that's going to tend to consumers, believe it or not. Because CBCS has two strikes against them now. One, remember I talked about this. When they raised their prices, when they doubled their prices, it was 40, it went to 60, then it went to 80. Their fast track. Their fast track tier. And I remember the analogy that I used. It was like, I forget exactly what I said, but the analogy was something about how I brought up the idea of like kind of manipulating the market, manipulating the demand. Instead of providing a quality service, you can fix the wait time. Okay, we're not going to change wait time, right? We're going to keep wait time as it is. Matter of fact, we're going to make it longer because we're going to pull some of our employees and we're going to say, hey guys, like if you're willing to, I know we're like effing off over here, screwing around, and we can't even get to your guys' books. But hey, I mean, we'll get to them someday. But guys, if you want to pay me $80 instead of 20 something, whatever, I'll guarantee you a 10-day turnaround time because all you need to do is skip the line. You see how that aged well? CBCS already is offering this. Hey, well, if you skip I'll let you skip the line if you give me a little extra money in my pocket. Who cares about all those average Joes standing in line waiting like decent human beings, like decent collectors? If you're a high roller and you want to skip the line, hand me that book, baby. I'll grade this up for you and you can have it right away. I guarantee it. Sounded like freaking Men's Warehouse up in here. That was already bad. And then you got them losing books and doing it in a way to where they did some dazed and confused ass ish and send us to some random dude who knows where, probably tipping a few back, rolling the fattest blunt, and ended up using a Hulk 181 as rolling paper or something like that. but it opens the door greatly for the possibility of a company like EGS. Because guys, remember, grading companies offer multiple things. They offer a service and a product. The product has to do with aesthetics. It has to do with how well we like the case, how well we like the label, how well it presents. The service is this bad boy, turnaround time, customer service, and all that, right? We care about the secondary market value of these books, and it all amounts to demand. Supply and demand. If there's more demand for EGS on the market, it's going to drive the value of their books up, and it's that simple. And oh, it's never going to change. Well, it's never going to change if we don't change, but it starts with us. One pebble. It keeps coming up. If you guys watch my live streams, the pebble analogy. You throw one pebble in the stream, in the creek, in the river. You do change the flow of that stream forever. But one pebble, you may not be able to notice it. But if everybody starts throwing a pebble in, slowly but surely, one pebble turns to 5, turns to 10, turns to 100, turns to 1,000 pebbles. And now you dammed up the stream and it ain't going anywhere. And you started a flood, right? That's what you can do here. That's what we have the power of. All of us have the power to do that. Whether it's holding dealers accountable like Black Flag and what they did at C2E2. Whether it's holding sellers accountable or quote-unquote influencers or people in front of a camera. Holding yourselves accountable as collectors in this community. Holding CGC, CBCS, EGS accountable. We do have the ability to impact change. And the more that we talk about it and the more that we communicate, bring the different opinions to the table, have these conversations, entertain different opinions, debate them out, figure things out, and we get somewhere. We push it forward. There's a lot of opportunity to have amidst the chaos. And that is the very, very important thing that everybody needs to understand. Amidst the chaos, there is so much opportunity for evolution. Mike, why? Why? First off, let's talk about influencers again. Who's an influencer? Mike, I bet your comments right now are influencing other people in the chat if they're reading your comments. Am I an influencer? I'm giving you guys my opinion. I'm reading your guys' opinion. There was a Sinfully Good, Collected Chaos. A lot of people, Chris, a lot of people have presented some great opinions that have influenced me because I've listened and I take them in. We all can influence each other. Why? Just because one person said something and maybe they have whatever X amount of thousand of followers or subscribers on YouTube. Why are they the massive? Why is that the massive? The massive starts with the one. The massive is not the massive if not for the one. Don't be the one. Don't be the one. Are you influenced by someone's opinion simply because of their status? And I'm not saying you in general. This is my reply. It's like, are we influenced by somebody because of their status? And if we are, that's a you issue. Oh, well, this guy has 20,000 subscribers, so I'm going to just believe whatever he says. This guy only has 600 subscribers, so his opinion isn't valid. That's the problem. I'll tell you what, there are many people on YouTube that are just here showing off comics, talking about comics. They don't even have 1,000 subscribers, but they got a lot of knowledge, and they're worthy of your ear. I'll tell you that straight up. Brendan. This guy is dropping knowledge. This guy needs to trademark his quotes. Brendan, what do you got for us today? The term influencer is another tool used for people to deflect responsibility for what they buy and how much they spend. Content creators have influence over you if you give them the power to do so. Brendan, we got to have you on, man. And I know, so Brendan is actually part of a YouTube panel. I just found this out. Hopefully I can come join you guys. But Brendan, I would love to have you on my show as well. Because you're like the wise one here. You're just taking it out and just putting it on the table, and I'm loving it word for word, man. Again, absolutely, we need to take accountability and responsibility for our own actions. Cult of personalities. Yep. Yeah, Mike, I hate the term too. It's a generalization that has now turned into a very negative term. Yeah, Nathan, I mean, that's true. That's true. Hey, here's a funny thing. You guys want to know a fact? Big shout out to Ryan with Automatic. You guys want to know something? First off, slabs are not UV protectant. But guess who does have slabs coming that are UV protectant? EGS. No lie, I'm not just talking them up. EGS slabs, we don't know the exact percentage yet, but their new slabs are going to be UV protectant. Crazy, right? Not only is this book not UV protectant, it slides around. Your book, for the most part, gets more protection in a bag and board than it does in a case, in a slab case. Now, if you drop it and if it's in a regular poly bag and you drop it, you know, the damage to the corner, the ding might be worse in a bag, and that might give you a little extra protection if you drop a case. But every time you move a book in a slab, you can be hindering that grade. Slabbing a book is not necessarily protecting it. I mean, it could protect it from like moisture or water too. I mean, they're not waterproof though. There are benefits, but overall, the idea of, oh, I grade my books, I slab my books to protect them or to encapsulate them. They're not even a real encapsulation. They're not. Well, here's the thing with this. Shareholders, when you talk about shareholders with CGC, you're talking about Blackstone. So there is no way that shareholders are going to pull out of Blackstone simply because of what CGC is doing. Straight up. That's just, I mean, there's no way. Blackstone is a multi-billion-dollar entity. The shareholders are not going to pull out because of, oh, well, CGC is not being transparent. Some, comic book geeks are mad because they're milking money off of Clayton Crane signings on some bootleg book. It ain't going to happen. A perfect example, Collecting Chaos. This man right here has a plethora of knowledge beyond so many of us, including myself, in many areas of the hobby. And look, 532 subs. Guys, go sub a Collecting Chaos. Seriously. If you want comic book knowledge, go sub Collecting Chaos. Chris, thank you, Chris. Chris is sending a super chat. Thank you. He's highlighting what Brendan was saying. Absolutely. Absolutely. Phil, Phil. Thank you, Phil, for becoming a member. Truly appreciate it. Again, for all the members that are here at the end of the month, the first week of September, I'll be giving away this Brett Breeding signed Superman number 80 Torpedo Comics exclusive. Thank you, Phil. Mike, this is interesting. Mike. I said this the other day in my other live stream. There are more comic book YouTube channels of people that don't even talk about spec than there are of people that do. Now, to your point, if you search, yes, most of the bigger channels, they do heavily talk about spec, and that's a fact. But if that's not for you, it shouldn't matter, because guess what? Go support those that you want to support. Go support those that collect like you collect, or that talk about the things, the passion about this hobby that you have passion for, because there's more of that out there than there is this other stuff, and that is a fact. So go support them. I definitely encourage that. What's the question? Was it the about the stocks? Because I feel like I just answered that question. Dario, collectors need to do more research. They absolutely do. Thank you. Still learning, Dario. And this is what I said. Like, look, you guys got to remember, the grading industry is still in its infancy. 22 years deep. It's still new. There's still growing pains. Oh, I think I finally answered it. Yep. Lefteros, very good take on influencers. You're kind of using the term in a specific fashion where you're putting it to businesses and marketing, right? Yeah, anybody that's in business is going to have people that want to influence you to buy their product or consume their product or service. Absolutely. Comic books are no different. I agree with that 100%. But I still think the term influencer is such a box of a generalization that and it's now a dirty word. But I agree with you for sure. Yeah, Angel, we talked earlier about it being like a oligopoly. It's not a monopoly, but you have only a couple of entities that really dominate and control the market, and the barrier to entry is so hard to penetrate. So it's tough. Yep. That's right. Right on, Dan. Just sub to Collecting Chaos. Brendan says there's tons of channels about the love of the game being comics as opposed to market and pricing. Yep. I'm on one every week. Yep. The market stuff shows up first, but you dig a little deeper and it's there. Absolutely. Bronze, what's going on, Bronze? I caught you in a late night stream the other night. I popped in for a few minutes before I went to bed in my insomnia, dealing with my insomnia. That's back and in full effect. It's crazy. Oh, man. Thanks, Bronze. I appreciate you. Here's another one, guys. Go give Bronze a sub. We got to have Bronze on. Bronze, man, if you came in earlier, I would have invited you on, but I'm about to wrap up here shortly. But we got to have you on the show soon. Again, absolutely. I think you were on earlier today too, because I saw the thumbnail, but I wasn't able to pop in. Well, Lee, I mean, yeah, that's part of it. I mean, look, there's truth in what you're saying. People get big-headed, companies get big-headed, and they don't care. But that's not what just what I was talking about, okay? There are growing pains because there's still ways of doing it better or doing things different. And at the end of the day, those are growing pains. But it doesn't help them evolve through the growing pains when people got egos and are not, focusing on customer first. Absolutely. Thinking they're too big to fail. Oh, man. Thank you, Dewey. I appreciate that. Love your channel as always, brother. You spit truth. And I've told you how I feel CGC messed up a book of mine and had no accountability. I really wish we could make them respect the collectors. Again, I try to be as optimistic as I can for these companies, man. I really do. I really do. And I just, we could stay hopeful or we could just take our money elsewhere. So if we're looking for transparency, a quality product, again, I'm not just saying this to talk up EGS, but, when Tony, the president of EGS, man, he's in this community. He's in the chats of multiple YouTubers, including my own. He makes himself available to his customers, and he's pushed through this impenetrable market and has came a long way. So I always say it's like, I'm not going to sit here and tell you to pick EGS over another grading company. You do what's right for you. But I will say, give them a try. Give them a try. And then at least you'll know firsthand if it's not for you, right? Send them 1 or 2 books. It's not that much money. And see how they work for you. So, spider web. So, guys, I'm going to wrap this up. I appreciate it. Was a good show today. Great chat. I really appreciate the interaction. I'll sum it up again to Spider Web's comment. CBCS is not done, but this is, I think, the biggest blow that they've taken, losing 367 books for multiple orders. The lack of answers, the year delay, I think it was like almost a year delay. We're going to just send them. We received them, but we haven't received them in. We're going to ship them back out to some random dude smoking a fat one in his living room and then have him ship it back out to us and all this stuff. This is going to be the biggest obstacle that they have to fight through. We shall see. They're giving CGC back the upper hand, and it hurts my feelings. But it does open the door for EGS to continue to make waves. New cases coming in a few weeks. Can't wait for it, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Again, guys, if you're not following me on Whatnot, link is below. I got mad books. I got all Spidey stuff. We got keys, minor keys, and just everything related to Spidey. Tomorrow night, 6:30 Pacific, 9:30 Eastern at Journos Comics, no underscore on the Whatnot app. Find me there. Come and just hang out. I will be doing some giveaways. You don't have to buy anything. You just hang out for some giveaways. Anybody that does make a purchase, each purchase you make will be 1 entry into winning this awesome CGC 9.8 slab right here. So I hope to see you guys there again. Link is below. If you use that link to sign up for the Whatnot app, you will get $10 off of your first purchase. That purchase does not need to be for me. Thank you guys so much. Have a good Thursday evening. Be well. And until next time.